As the decade closes out, we say goodbye to the 2010s. I've consequently found myself thinking back to 10 years ago, and I've often cited Oddworld as being my favourite game series. It's so unique and brilliant, I've liked it ever since I was very young. And this decade has seen a revival of this series, and I think that ought to be considered more. How brilliant that is. I still remember 10 years ago, you'd look at the Oddworld website and this is what you'd see. New site coming soon. It was like that for bloody ages. I think this image haunts the dreams of every Oddworld fan that remembers it. This shot here is from near enough exactly a decade ago. In fact, this shot was taken precisely 10 years ago to the day that I created this YouTube channel. But let's go back even further. Now I was going to do this whole thing where I go, okay, beginning 2009, nope, still the same. Beginning 2008, nope, still the same. But I'll get straight to the point. The earliest shot of the Oddworld website being like this was the 13th of June 2006. That's how long the website said, new site coming soon. Honestly, if you ever want to learn to have patience, just become an Oddworld fan. Now, to be fair to Oddworld inhabitants, Oddworld is meant to be 8 times as big as Earth, so I guess the days are just longer there or something. One Earth year is probably like 4 Oddworld years, so that's probably why, like with Oddworld Soulstorm, they originally said it was going to be released in 2017. But what they meant it was 2020 is just a cultural mistranslation. Now I remember the Oddworld website even before this. As we can see here, the last time the old site appeared was on the 10th of June 2006, but even that had been dormant for over a year, so sometime between then and the 13th they decided to shut down the website with the promise of a new site coming soon. I'd argue it's the longest soon there's ever been, but eventually at the start of the 2010s, after 4 years and 4 months, nearly half a decade of saying there was a new website coming soon, we finally got it on the 1st of November 2010. I remember the first time I saw it as well. I just stumbled across it by accident. I was in high school and loaned a laptop from the school library and sat out on a bench in the school library's garden, and a friend of mine randomly used it to go on the Oddworld website, and I just assumed it'd be the same as it had been for the past half a decade, but holy shit, there's a new Oddworld website. I couldn't believe it, this was amazing. All this waiting and finally soon had arrived. Looking back now, I've just discovered that this must have been 2 days after it had launched. I thought it was quite a few days, I didn't realise it was that early, but I know this because apparently I was the 43rd comment on the first post on this new website. And for some reason I decided to comment using the name Oddworld Fan Number 1. Why I chose that name I do not know, but yeah, that's the name I used to comment on the Oddworld website when it came back. I've actually really enjoyed researching this and recounting how things used to be back then, but the reason I'm saying all this and going through this history is because when you remember that, or if you don't remember, now that you know what Oddworld was like back then, the state it was in, the seemingly never-ending coming soon of simply a new website for Oddworld, then you realise that Oddworld 10 years later is in a much better state than it was a decade ago. This time 10 years ago Oddworld was dead as a meech. There was very little sign it'd ever be coming back. There were rumours that they were working on a film, I think it was Citizen Siege, but apart from that, and this sign that had arguably lied to us for many years, it was dead. Now look at it. Exactly 10 years later, Oddworld Inhabitants is currently making a brand new game. They made a remake of Abe's Odyssey that outsold their expectations, and Oddworld actually has a website. My point being, no matter what your opinion of the progress of Oddworld Soulstorm, and some people, including me to some degree, have doubts about it, and fair enough, at least there is progress. At least they're doing something, which is a damn sight, like literally a damn sight more, than could be truthfully said 10 years ago, when Oddworld seemed like a PS1 series that had had its day. 1 decade later, as we enter the 2020s, Oddworld is back in the game.
Hello. Follow me.